Oh, hello. Can we please have a look at UFC Paris? I'm going to do a quick recap of all those bets that I did. And yeah, just have a quick look through the news as well. Just, yeah. And there's also, what's in the news? Nate Diaz is starting his own fight promotion. Kamaru Usman forgets that he got knocked down against Gilbert Burns, which was interesting. I had an interesting conversation with somebody about it online. Not a real person in mind, but yeah. Having a look at a couple of funny internet memes as well that have been created since then. So if that sounds good, stay with me for the Burt Locker 132. So, UFC Paris, absolutely brilliant. It was a brilliant event as well, by the way. Definitely, it was nice that it was on at the normal time. Got to watch all the fights. So yeah, a couple of the people that I bet on. Benoit Saint Denis, very good. I'm still absolutely a huge fan of this guy. Shame he didn't get the sub. He did get the TKO, but it was still a very impressive victory for the French Special Forces fucking beast that is Benoit Saint Denis. Keep an eye on that guy. Honestly, like I've got really high hopes for him. Another guy I've got high hopes for is Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood with another really strong performance against Charles Air Jourdain. Now, Charles Jourdain is really, really good. Like, he was actually, I think Nathaniel Wood was the underdog in this one as well. But Wood was just too fast. He was too fast. His footwork was absolutely fantastic as well. He was a step ahead the entire time. His high guard was just very hard to penetrate, and it's just he was going in there with his high guard and just taking shots on the forearm, but just throwing back and landing. And it was, yeah, really good to see. Imavov versus Buckley was just a really fun old school case of like two like fighters that have really rubbed each other up the wrong way, and it was just fun to watch. Like Imavov was really pissed off. Now, interestingly though, I thought like Goddard is a great referee, but I don't know. I would have considered taking a point off of Imavov for the antics between rounds, because there was like, it wasn't even between rounds. It was when I think like Buckley's mouthguard came out, so the ref stopped the action and got him to put his mouthpiece back in, but kept on telling Imavov to get back, and Imavov kept on trying to push like Goddard out of the way. I don't know. You need to kind of nip that kind of behaviour in the bud if you're a referee. I'd have maybe taken a point for that. It's just like, look, you need to obey my commands at all times, and you were not doing so. 1 point, you know, because it sets a precedent. Like you've got to make sure the fighters know they cannot you know, disobey the referee like that. It was interesting though. But there was some high emotions. They all put it past him at the end of it. But look, round 3 was absolutely insane. It was insane that one judge gave that round to Imavov. Honestly, I don't know how the fuck they managed that. But watch that third round. Buckley put it on him. Anyway, yeah, it was a really good fight, really fun. Vittori versus Whittaker. It was as expected, literally as expected. I mean, because obviously I predicted Whittaker by decision, but that was the most obvious one on the card. Hardly makes you fucking Nostradamus, does it? Do you know what I mean? But I could see it going literally no other way. I couldn't even make a case for putting like a bet on like a long. You know me, I love a long shot. Couldn't make a case for it in that one. It was just a foregone conclusion from the start. And what we're doing, Whittaker versus Costa next? Probably. I mean, have they fought before? I don't think they have. We should probably do Whittaker versus Costa next. That's probably the fight to make. And then the main event, what can I say? Fucking awesome, wasn't it? I mean, like, we got to see Cyril Gane kind of go through some adversity. The thing with Cyril, like, that's the first time he's really been tested like that. Like, no one else has gotten close to him with the hands. It shows how good and how unorthodox Tai Tuivasa's kind of striking is, that he was able to knock Cyril Gane down. And really, you know, he looked like he was going to win that fight. It was really back and forth. It was ever so fun. And one of the things that I loved most was when Cyril Gane landed that head kick, and then Tuivasa turned himself into the biggest possum I've ever seen. Gigantic possum, because he just did like the old shaky legs. But then Gane went into like kind of to finish the job, and he just started throwing back. And then, yeah, a lot of people, like the Junior Dos Santos came out after the fight going, oh, you know, Gun's a dirty fighter, he's punching him in the back of the head. It's like, look, he landed a punch to the back of the head because Tuivasa turned his head. Like, if someone turns their head as you're throwing and you hit the back of their head, that can't be illegal. And also, he was already on his way down. If you think that shot is the one that did it, like, it was all the body shots, the cumulative damage, you're reaching if you think that was the shot that was the difference maker. You're really reaching there, guys. You know, that was a good win for Cyril Gane. It was a fantastic fight. It was one of those fights where both fighters' stocks went up immeasurably. There were no losers, especially not the fans. I was out of my seat the whole time. Thank you, both of those men. Tip my hat to you. Absolutely. I would watch them fight every week. I'd watch them fight every week. It was absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, before I go into the news, just want to say thank you very much for watching. If you could do me a favour, hit subscribe, hit like, share as well. Do all that good stuff. If you want extra fight breakdowns every week, head on over to the Patreon, the Burt Locker on Patreon. It's only £1 a month. It's like literally just to help me fund the show and help me try and do more with it, because I like to, you know, I enjoy doing this. I just want to do more of it, really. And yeah, so just thank you for your support, and yeah, if you could just like and share and all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments, like, as well. Just do whatever. Comment anything. Call me a knobhead. I don't care. Just, it helps my algorithm. So do what you want. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, it was. I did watch Kamaru Usman on Joe Rogan, and honestly, it was a little bit bizarre. I thought it was like. I think Leon Edwards said on the Ariel Helwani podcast that actually he thinks he's overdoing the niceness a little bit. I think he's right, you know. There was something weird about it. Like, it was, everyone was talking about how gracious and how humble he was being. It's like, was he though? Because a lot of it was really backhanded. Like one bit in particular is just like, yeah, I don't think he really gets like, you know, the support that he deserves, you know. I mean, when I won the title, they threw me a parade, and I saw like the pictures of him when he got back to the airport. There was like 20 people there, and I think that's a shame. I think people should support him more. And it's just like, no, what you're doing there is you're saying, hey, look at me, I got a parade. This chump, he only got like 20 people there, and that's not true. They did like a parade in Birmingham, like a few days after, like, he got back. Like, it's a lot of people have come out in huge support of Leon Edwards because he did something great, right? He did something fantastic. And, yeah, and just how he kept on kind of talking about how, yeah, you know, I was fine 20 minutes after the kick. Absolutely fine, yeah. All the questions they asked me, I was acing, and they said, oh, I can't believe you've answered all those questions. Right, you know what day it is, you know your own name. Yeah, we're going to do all these as a precaution. But yeah, and he kept on saying he was fine and unaffected so much that I started wondering, who are you trying to convince, me or you? You know what I mean? It's like, and also he forgot that he got dropped by Gilbert Burns. And then, because he was saying, oh, I've only ever been dropped like once in training by Michael Johnson before I got dropped by Leon Edwards. It's like, you got dropped against Burns. Well, I'm not throwing shade at Kamaru Usman. He just got caught with a good one, and it put him down. He fell forwards onto all fours, right? Both hands were down, all 4 points were down. That's a downed opponent. If you get hit and you lose your equilibrium to the point where you are forced into a down position, that's, to me, being dropped, right? It didn't count as a knockdown. Maybe it should have, though. Because if you get hit and you fall to a downed position, i.e. if Gilbert Burns had followed up with a head kick or a knee to the head, that would have been illegal, technically, because both hands were on the floor. You see what I mean? And somebody online, you know, okay, it's one of these dickheads online. I shouldn't really be, like, entertaining it, honestly, but he was saying that, like, well, you know, John Jones starts in a three-point stance, but he's not, like, considered a downed opponent. If you can't understand the difference between John Jones starting on the floor and, like, crawling into the octagon to start this fight, and Usman getting punched and falling to a down position, if you can't see the subtle differences in that, then I don't know what to tell you. Do you know what I mean? End of the day, yeah, it didn't get counted as a knockdown, and I didn't say it did. But what I'm saying is, for me, that is being dropped. If you get punched and you drop to a position that is, in the rule set, a downed opponent, then surely that has to be called being dropped. What else would you call that? Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm out of my mind. Maybe I'm out of my fucking mind. But for me, yeah, he got dropped. But irrelevant. Look, he came back and he won that fight and it was fucking awesome. He got caught with a good one, but it's just weird that basically what I put it down to, I think he just forgot. Because it was only when Rogan reminded him, he was just like, oh yeah, no, I didn't really count that one because he didn't really hurt me and whatever. And it was just, I don't know, Usman had this real weird, like smug kind of like demeanour about him. Just like, oh, I was happy to lose the title. I was so happy to lose the title because, you know, I'm happy that Leon's got this opportunity, you know, to be the champ. It's like, oh, I don't know, you're overdoing it a bit, mate. Honestly, like I could see, and he was doing all these kind of like weird backhanded like compliments, like and I could see through it. I thought he was being a dick actually. People were, he was trying to come across as, oh, I'm so humble, I'm so magnanimous, but it's like, no, he didn't really give Leon credit for beating him, and he still said, well, no, I'm still the best in the world. It's like, no, you're not right now. You got beat. You can come back and you can be the best in the world. That's cool. I understand that you have to believe you're the best in the world, but unless you're holding that belt, for me, that's the signal, isn't it? If you're holding that belt, you're the best in the world, that weight class. Let's keep it simple, right? Fucking, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I thought he came across as just a bit of a, I don't know, just a little bit weird. And also, like, he was coming out with some real bizarre shit. I don't know who the fuck he's been talking to, but he's got some, like, just, I don't know, like, because he was saying how he thinks that he's going to have more supporters in the UK than Leon Edwards. And Rogan said, why do you think that? He's like, because the UK is 50% African. I mean, that's just, it's just not true. Like, it's close, like, when you look at the latest government census, it's closer to 3%. Like, I'm not saying where that's, you know, that literal just statistics before anyone starts cancel. I don't know how you'd get cancelled for just pointing that out, but like how, like Usman's literally under the impression that it's 50-50. I don't, like, who told you that, Kamaru? Who told you that? Do you know what I mean? And he seems to think that everyone's just going to be in support of, like, when he goes to, like, I saw the reception that Dan Henderson got when he fought Bisping at UFC 204. Kamaru, if you think you're going to walk into Birmingham and walk into that arena against Leon Edwards, and if you think the crowd are going to be on your side, I think you may get a rude awakening. You might get the shock of your life, fella. Maybe I'm wrong, but look, there are a lot of people I know that are big fans of Leon Edwards, myself included. You know, it's yeah, I don't know. It was a bizarre interview, honestly. Like, on the face of it, if you just took what he said on the face of it, yeah, he was being real magnanimous, real humble. But actually, when you look at how he was saying everything and just how he was almost like dismissing a lot of people and their skill sets and dismissing his fan base and his popularity, I think he was actually being a bit of a dick, honestly, but that's just me. Nate Diaz has started his own fight promotion. It sounds interesting. Real ninjas, real fighters, real shit. I'm in. Hey, I'm all in. But actually, it was quite interesting because in this interview, he said, look, at the end of the day, the UFC has the best fighters in the world, and they're going to have the best fighters in the world for a long time. But we're going to be, but that doesn't mean it's the realest shit out there. We're looking for real shit, like real, like, fighters. And you know what? There's an angle there. He's looking for a niche, and that's good. That's smart. That's smart because you're not going to compete with the UFC on, like, the just going head to head with them. You've got to find your own kind of angle. You know what? It's interesting because, yeah, Diaz has only got one fight left, but he actually said he's always going to be with the UFC. So it's interesting to see if he's going to actually leave or not after this. After this fight. But yeah, so let's have a look at Troll of the Week. And after the performance at the weekend, you know, it's going to be hard to argue against it. But we've got I love these, the SpongeBob memes, like, because obviously Whittaker, he's now cemented as the perennial #1 contender, isn't he? Like, he's still there. It's like Izzy versus Whittaker 1, you're sitting there fresh faced, and then Izzy versus Whittaker 7, just sitting there dead, because it's like, I don't know how many of those Whittaker wins. He hasn't won any of the first two, but you know what? If he just keeps fighting, he's going to end up getting back there, and it's just, we've got to accept that. And then you've got Yeah, this is quite a funny one. Like, you've got Jorge Masvidal dismissing Leon Edwards a couple of years ago, because Leon Edwards wanted that fight a couple of years ago, and Jorge's just nowhere to be seen because he wanted the money fights. Now all of a sudden, Leon's got the title. Fucking Jorge comes out of the woodwork. Surprise, Kel fucking surprise. So yeah, you've got like Jorge and Nate Diaz just like, don't worry, baby, he's just a nerd, because he wanted the Nate Diaz fight. And then like years later, you've got like, hey, baby, you remember me? And like Leon's telling him to beat it, as he should. Like, where the fuck have you been, George? Where the fuck have you been? Do you know what I mean? You, like, the next fight for Leon Edwards is going to be the rematch with Usman. And I can't wait to see it. It's going to be fucking epic. It's going to be really, really good fun. And look, I understand and appreciate that Usman was winning that fight up to getting knocked out, like on the cards, but like he lost that first round as well. It was competitive, and he didn't win the fight, did he? Because he got separated from his fucking consciousness, and that could happen again. You're a fool if you think that can't happen again, and you're a fool if you think that first round couldn't happen again. That first round, Leon Edwards was all over him. He's fast, he's fucking, and he knows like Usman's game inside and out. He's been training for him a lot, and look, I do think actually the altitude did have an effect on Leon. You've got to remember, he doesn't train at altitude. Kamaru Usman trains at altitude. So maybe there's a reason that Leon looked so good in the first round, but kind of started to falter after that point. Maybe it was the altitude. Do you know what I mean? Because he says that it was. So why shouldn't we take him at his word on that? He still managed to uncork one of the greatest head kick knockouts we've ever seen. So we're celebrating that. And you know what? A lot of people are saying, well, it doesn't even matter because Usman's going to like win the rematch. It's like, I don't know if that's a foregone conclusion. If you if you've been watching MMA and you think that any fight is a foregone conclusion, you're fucking mad. If you think that it's just like that it's just already a done deal, Usman's going to win the rematch, you clearly haven't been watching MMA long enough, because look, it's so fucking unpredictable. And look, Usman, like, you know, Leon's knocked him out once, he could probably do it again. Anyway, that's all I've got time for this week. I've done my picks for UFC 279 already. They should already be up, so check that video out. It's got my picks on there, because I think that Nate Diaz has got a chance. And yeah, I'm not ready to write that kid off just yet, because he's one of my favourites. Just love that dude. Anyway, until next time, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.